Maybe once the meta shifts, can they shift as well? That's the question, and I guess we will just have to wait and see.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the show. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some concerning habits regarding Fnatic, and more in particular, their early game. We have two examples with us today. First example is their game against Vitality, where they actually had a really rough lane swap, mostly, as you can see on the screen, due to the matchup of the Morgana Misfortune playing into the Poppy and the Lucian. Fnatic actually go to down the bot lane. Vitality, they fail predict the lane swap in the top lane because they want that 2v2 so badly. But what ends up happening here is actually that Fnatic, they don't realize how bad that matchup is. They push in the bot lane, they swap back to top lane later on, we'll see it happen on the screen later on, and the top lane matchup actually, Olaf into Fiora, which is incredibly snowbally, will now be thoroughly won by Cabochard because he will be able to teleport down, you'll see it later, and pick up the massive wave here in the bottom right of your screen that Reckless and Noxiac are leaving for the enemy team. Fnatic in the first 3 minutes of the game already lose the lane swap, and later on it just trickles down into a massive CS deficit for Gamsu. He will be down 40 CS at 10 minutes against his lane opponent. If that's not enough, a week after that, Fnatic play the Unicorns of Love. This time, they have another rough matchup overall. They'll play Thresh Kalista into a Corki Alistar, and that 2v2 is absolutely brutal. So whatever you want to do as Fnatic, you want to avoid it. So you see Fnatic right now, they're pathing to the top of the screen with their dual lane, Corki Alistar, but Unicorns of Love, what they did, they already hid out of vision, ran straight down to the top lane at the start of the game, took a camp, and Steelback is going to straight up murder this game. At 10 minutes, Steelback was ahead 34 CS against Reckless. Reckless was down 1,300 gold in this game overall. So again, Fnatic, lace-up situation, they lose out massively. If that wasn't enough, Fizzy-Chachi's Rise gets to comfortably farm into the mid game, Unicorn Snowball, and Fnatic lost another early game. We took a look at all early games from Fnatic. On average, they're down 1,100 gold. At 20 minutes, they're back up 1.2k gold. That means they always have to work from a deficit and claw back into the game. And the main loss leader for Fnatic really is Reckless. He is down in CS every single game almost, and he has the worst CS out of any AD carry in the league right now. He's also down 600 gold at 10 minutes. That's the most out of any player in the European LCS so far. One of the best players in last season right now is struggling severely, and maybe that's due to the fact that he's trying to shot call a little bit too much. So Fnatic, they have to shore up their early game, and hopefully they can do it this game. Take it away, boys, at the caster desk.
Cheers, Crepo. I'm jumping onto the caster desk along with Martin's official Lunger to sub in for this one. Lunger.
I like it.
Eventually I'll get it. I don't really have that Danish pronunciation. But as things get it set up on stage, let's take a look at those rosters. For G2 Esports, in the top lane, we have Kickers. In the jungle, it is Trick with mid lane Perks, AD carry Emperor with support Hybrid, and coach Youngbug.
That's correct, Pulsar. And of course for Fnatic on the red side, we have Gamsu up in the top lane. Spirit is in the jungle. Fibiven as the mid laner, Reckless. Currently the worst AD carry in terms of CS at 10 minutes as the AD carry. Noxiac as support. Daylor is of course there as a coach for the team.
Yeah, someone's going to crop that, so it's just like, worst AD carry, and they just like have that. And
yeah, just take it out of context. You can obviously find some insane quotes then, but Reckless is still doing well when it comes to late game. It's just early on in the game, he's struggling together with the rest of Fnatic, honestly.
Whereas Gamers 2, as a team, looking really good. 3-1 so far, big surprise. However, the draft versus H2K in week 2, little suspect. It was just like, what do you want? Comfort pick? Comfort pick? Everyone gets a comfort pick.
Yeah, I felt like this was probably the worst draft we have seen all year long, even though we're only three weeks in still. I mean, that was the worst draft because... So first of all, Lulu got first pick. That's normally fine, but Kikis had to play it, and he didn't look very good on Lulu. We had Udyr come in clearly as a comfort pick for Trick, and it had very low impact until one team fight, and that was basically it. And then Zed for Perks when Lissandra was already locked in. I mean, they honestly just almost counterpicked themselves over and over. They did say after, however, it was a bad draft, so obviously the team knows, and we're not expecting the same thing.
Yeah, I really think it was Kickers being like, hey, Trick, you know what's good?
Udyr.
Yeah. Lock it in. But it really did complement the aggressive, strong individual play. Didn't really show up in that game, but that's how the team plays as a whole. So despite being extremely inexperienced and young, I don't know if they can take on Fnatic because Fnatic could just completely destroy them on the rift.
So this is the big thing. When we look at all these new teams who are able to beat the current bottom teams, You know, we say, hey, it looks good, they have some good players, they make some good moves, but we need to see them against the top teams, or what we expect to be the top teams. And against H2K, obviously it was a bad performance from G2, but also a bad draft. Fnatic has not looked as good as H2K if we look at all 4 games. Obviously there was the Fnatic win over H2K, so I want to see if Fnatic is able to kind of shut down what G2 normally likes to do, you know, be able to pressure Kikis up in the top lane potentially, put Gamsu on a carry against a big tank. Feb eventually be able to hold his own against Perks in the mid lane. So there are definitely a lot of tools here for Fnatic to shut this down. And I think honestly when you play G2, as long as you don't opt into this almost solo queue style where you allow them to have these super strong mechanical players and they can make these outplays, I think you should be able to take them down as Fnatic.
Yeah, mid lane is very interesting for me. Perks has generally snowballed against the other mid lanes he get up against, but you go up against Feathervin, you're not going to reliably snowball off of him. But as we get into Champions Select, we'll see what he brings to the Rift. First ban going to be Poppy, seen it in top lane, seen it in jungle, seen it in support, so last game. So that's going to be taken away alongside GP, Alistair, and Tam Kench.
And I wonder if Kalista will finally be open. It was banned the last 2 games. It is not. Because now G2 says, you know what? We do not want to risk you get first rotation Kalista. So obviously, they don't want to first pick the Kalista itself because there are all of these super top picks they want to get. And then Fnatic will just take Kalista in the first rotation. And that's what G2 wants to avoid. With the last ban coming in, Lulu could easily be one. But I don't think you need to ban Lulu against G2. Because I think if Perks plays Lulu, that's good for you. And if Kikis picks Lulu, he's not on the tank top lane and he doesn't look that comfortable. So I like what Fnatic is doing.
Sure, he's not on a carry and that will maybe hamstring the lineup. Shen was the final ban. This is still 6-1. We don't have the rework Shen. Played that this morning. Actually pretty good. But first pick will be Corki. Flex comes out, instantly logged in, waiting for Fnatic's picks.
Yeah, so again, G2 didn't want Kalista to go over on the side of Fnatic, but then first picking the other AD carry, the 2 top tier AD carries, Corki and Kalista at the moment. I still want to see Corki mid lane. We haven't seen it in Europe. It is so, so good. Thing is, when Kalista gets banned away, the value of Corki AD carry just goes up, up, and up. But Fnatic can be so, so happy with the start to this pick and ban phase. You leave Lulu open, you don't jump into that trap. You take away a tank as well from Kikis, and you get Lissandra as a flex pick in your first rotation. Always fantastic.
Yeah, and you get Graves, which is another
bonus.
Pick. And Graves are just fantastic right now. Love watching some Graves with that Thunderlords and waiting for the next 2 pickups from Gamers 2. Looks like they're thinking about going for their bot lane here. And if they do lock in the Lucian, who is another one down from Kalista in terms of top AD carries, that would mean a mid lane Corki.
But it's way too early to show it for G2. There's no reason to pick it right now, unless you're afraid of Reckless taking that Lucian. But now you're already showing, basically you're showing your bottom lane and you're showing your mid lane. And Fnatic has already picked a champion who's very good at engaging onto these AD carries. Fnatic can now basically say, okay, we know what they're building, double AD carry composition. We need something that can dive that back line because they're going to be so, so squishy. There's no split pushing component for G2 at all, so it's going to be grouping. They might have one guy up top lane, but Kikis again has mainly played tanks, so that's what you're expecting. So Fnatic can also just say, let's draft a super... Either we draft a 1-3-1 split push comp with double TP from potentially Lissandra, and we just always push down side lanes and the AD carries can never group. Or we just draft a massive teamfight comp with a lot of hard engage, and we just smack down the AD carries.
And they could already do either with the flexibility you have from Lissandra and Graves. It just seems weird picking double AD into Lissandra, who one of her greatest strengths is buying time by jumping in, popping her ultimate. The AD carry can't push forwards into her. And then you just don't do anything for like 2.5 seconds.
I like almost everything Lissandra offers against double AD carry, as you just mentioned, because she is also a fine split pusher. You can run teleport on her, you can put her in a side lane, and she can fast push these waves very, very effectively. Has great TP flanks against AD carries. And because Braum has come in as well for G2, there's no hard disengage. I would have expected then maybe a Morgana or Janna to kind of stop this engage from Lissandra from taking down an AD carry, but Braum doesn't really offer that. He has a massive zone he can give you. He has great ability to single out a target, but he doesn't offer hard disengage.
Well, if they asked them to all group up in a bottleneck so he can ult them all at the same time, that would work. But yes, in open grounds in like mid lane, for example, that's not going to work out. Ezreal was picked up with the Trundle, so probably going to see that AD carry. Have seen mid lane Ezreal as well.
It's a tough comp for G2 to play. Like, there's zero frontline. You have a 1-4 setup with Fiora as the split pusher, and you want to then group Corki, Lucian, Nidalee together to siege. But Fnatic can obviously see that. They should just pick some... If they want to put Lissandra top, you just pick wave clear here. you can easily take Lissandra into Fiora, and as long as your jungler is nearby and you don't obviously fall super far behind to an enemy jungle gank, and Fiora will then outskill and snowball out of control, that lane is very even in the start. And Lissandra can honestly just push it, and then you can take a wave clear mid. Or, potentially, you can go for like an Olaf if you want to go crazy and you want to like try and fight their Fiora early on, but I don't think that's necessary for Fnatic, and we talked about the hard engage. What's better against multiple AD carries? A Malphite.
Malphite boys. And the Nidalee lock-in as well, we saw it once before, I believe it was from Gileas. And
hate Nidalee.
It was not excellent, and we'll just have to see how it works. Like, I just don't think it's as strong as the top-tier junglers right now.
No, I think Nidalee is just so tunneled on like one or two things she does okay. Apart from that, she's bad at everything else. Yeah. She can't tank anything. Like, her ganks requires you to have CC in lane to kind of set her up for the gank. She's super strong if she gets to one-on-one you know, in the early game. And then she can group and start sieging with long-range spears, but you often don't get enough gold to get enough AP to make those spears really strong. So her value out of sight of the early game, like the first 15 minutes, just like drops big time. Where Graves, who can build very Bruiser-ish, you know, with more, and he can Steris Gage, he has a very strong team fight then. Nidalee just runs in and gets like one shot and it's just gone.
Yep, all of those points are very, very true, Martin. But there we go, have the coaches shaking hands as their teams enter the Rift very, very shortly. But here we have the full compositions ready to go. And as we get into this one, make sure you tweet at LOL Esports using those hashtags G2 win or Fnatic win. We'll be seeing on who you think will be taking this game as we get into the Rift. But not too long now before we get into this.
Just waiting it out, just slow.
Waiting for opportunity. Here we go. Getting into game. G2 versus Fnatic. Getting into Summer's Rift.
A lot of Fnatic fans in the crowd today. People with Febiven signs, Fnatic flags and everything. They always have massive amount of fan support in the EULCS studio.
Yep. Case in point. Some are even heralding Gamsu as the new Huni. After his first performance on Olaf, not too far wrong either.
I mean, he had a great start.
Yeah.
But then we haven't really seen Gamsu
There's still time.
do that much.
But now he's on Malphite. So.
Yeah. So Malphite is not a Huni champion. That is for sure. Unless he's like full AP Malphite and he will surprise us. Who knows?
Or the Iceborne Gauntlet build, which is fantastic.
I think that is fantastic. And I think it's good.
I think so too.
In this setup as well. You get early armor, cooldown reduction against the Fiora. Obviously, Fiora will do really well in lane against Malphite. She's always done well against him because she has the true damage. She has to sustain. And then later on in the game, Malphite can't really touch her. But you're not looking to 1v1 Fiora. You're looking to TP in, look at 280 carries, and say goodbye. Hopefully because you hit the ulti.
Yes, of course. Well, Spirit going into the bottom side of his jungle with Gamsu and looking for the lane swap-ups. So they're already set up for the double jungle. Has this been read out though? It looks like it, as Kikis has gone down.
It's so often when we see these very obvious lane swaps, and there's no invade coming, because it's also harder to invade now, where minions are spawning at 130. So once you commit to one side, you have to like instantly move back to the other side to then do a camp if you want to then mind game them. Oftentimes though, you just end up on that side anyway, and the team can swap around. So Fnatic will get, G2 will get 2v2 lanes, which is what they want, because let's highlight this again. G2's composition wants to basically win this game in 25 minutes. You have Nidalee, you have double AD carry, so late game team fights for you are so difficult against double engage, against blue build Ezreal, against even the pillar from Trundle, which can be super annoying for these AD carries when they're trying to like position properly. Only Fiora is the late game insurance for G2, and that's not enough. So getting standard lanes is very good for them, very important, and this is where Fnatic has struggled as well. They always fall behind in standard lanes. Because also they pick weaker matchups, like Ezreal into Lucian. That's super unfair.
What do you think about Trundle picking up Strength for the Ages? Because we're seeing more and more supports do that, specifically the Relic Shield support, so you actually do get those income of cannon minions. But is it as strong as going for Bond of Stone, which Hybrid's gone for?
I mean, I guess it honestly depends a lot on the support itself. In like, does he want more base HP? Because he also thinks he can drag the game to late game and get it fully stacked out, which is what Fnatic is aiming for. And also the percent damage he would absorb in this case. Because he's obviously a support, against so much damage for G2, I probably would have valued getting Bond of Stone. But Noxiac trying out something new, and if he's able to stack it up, it's going to give him a lot of value later on.
could be very strong. And wards come out. That's pretty much all that we're seeing here. Perks in the mid lane on that Corki though that you wanted to see, Martin.
Yes, I think Corki right now has very, very good matchups in the mid lane where if he can't kill them, at least he can push them into the tower. Thunderlords really benefit him so much because it's so easy to proc it in these early trades with Gatling Gun as well. And you're basically looking to just chip away in mid tower over and over. You're very safe with your Valk to escape ganks. And we know that G2 is going to play out this laning phase. And then around 15-16 minutes, they're looking to start grouping up and start poking down. Play around blue buff on the Corki. Get him to level 11, give him a Trinity Force, let him be that big carry for your team here in the start of the game.
We might actually see some package plays as well, because one thing Nidalee does have is some early game damage. Her spears got buffed in recent patches as well. Maybe the damage isn't comparable to Graves hitting him in the face with end of the line, but they might still be able to make plays with the package, because sometimes it just expires and you just have to use it to clear a minion wave.
Yeah, and this is another thing that's going to be super tricky for G2. Graves is the only jungler who offers wave clear. Fnatic took him in first rotation, obviously, as we see so often. And that's going to be so key, because what normally could have happened was that Fnatic would try and put the double teleport in side lanes, and then Ezreal would sit mid with no wave clear and Iceborne Gauntlet cross. Obviously not enough for him, but now Graves can assist him. Into the line on the wave, kill it very quickly. That does stop quite a lot of the push from G2. I want to see how Fnatic wants to use it later on.
Yeah, Fnatic definitely have the tools to deal with what G2 have. As you mentioned in Champion Sex, it's a very hard composition to play.
Super difficult. One big mistake in the early game, and honestly, you might have lost the game already. You cannot afford to fall behind if you're G2 in this case.
Well, this is a potential play that could get them ahead or put them behind if Trick decides to go into the top lane and gank. They're both full HP though, so fairly unlikely we're going to see a dive. But they did take away the Krugs as he heads back into his jungle. Kickus in the bot lane though with Gamsu. It's a Fiora Malphite matchup, so there's a lot of farming and there's a lot of hitting Malphite and him saying, okay, I'm just going to hit this minion now.
The first time we see Kickus on a carry champion. He played Lulu and he played tanks. Tahm Kench, basically. He is the guy we're looking at. We're saying, like, we praise G2 for having very strong individual players. Kickus is probably the odd man out. We're like, not 100% sold on his ability as a top laner yet. Spirit might get a good gank on Perks here, though.
Ruh-roh. Oh, jumps over the wall, looking for the lineup for the Q, but Perks will flash away and respond with a decent amount of damage with a fast bomb onto Featherman and Spirit as they back away.
She does some early pressure on mid. Fnatic is not really under that much pressure in other lanes. Ezreal will always fall slightly behind, but Ezreal is one of these champions who can always just kind of survive. You can always farm with Q from range. He's very safe. But it does mean that G2 will have the chance to constantly push in both mid and top lane. Should prompt Trick to walk into the enemy topside jungle and kind of take over that one and try and look for Spirit. But then you can debate. Nidalee's spear into her combo compared to Graves' end of the line into a wall. What does the most damage?
End of the line.
I would probably say end of the line. So unless Trick can like legit surprise Spirit, jump him without getting end of the line proc twice on him, I don't think he's able to take that 1v1 too easily. But this helps because now you're also fighting out in the river.
Yeah. And then you line yourself up for it. Kickers will jump forwards and challenge him to a grand challenge, but Perks is there as well and collects the first blood over to Corki in the mid lane.
So mid lane is even at the moment. Bot lane is pushed in for G2. Why was Spirit on his own in the enemy jungle? That is such a greedy play to make. Yes, he wanted the deep wards, but that's not even the side you're looking to play around at the moment if you're Fnatic. That was very greedy, and he just get punished in exactly what G2 wants. And Gamsu now, well, he's gonna kill Kickus.
He's just gonna kill him. Okay then. Did he already use Riposte? Because all of that was based around being able to use the Riposte to block the ultimate and preempting it, but even after the ultimate was used, he didn't use it afterwards anyway for the slow.
There's a big question mark on Kickus playing a carry and how he would perform. Definitely not a great start. Giving up a solo kill to Gamsu.
Man, Noxiac does not want Emperor to go back. 2 pillars, 2 stop recalls, worth the 4 tower shots he took. But he got that cannon minion for strength.
Yes, he did. Stacking it up. I like the build from Reckless as well. Tier pickaxe, you want to get the Mana Moon A, and then you get a Sheen. That's the best DPS build you can get as blue build Ezreal early on. So obviously Fnatic knows, okay, there will be a lot of action happening in about 5-6 minutes. Spoiler for everyone, 5-6 minutes, then the game should start really picking up the pace. So you gotta be able to match it. You can't just sit back and just only scale late game and never do anything, then you just start losing the entire map.
Indeed. Trick is going to be throwing over this blue buff to the mid lane. Currently ahead of Featherbin, plus having the extra first kill was very helpful. Went for the Sheen first as well. Makes it very difficult to trade against the Corki because he just does more damage than you. And going towards Phage as well. First item Triforce, very, very common. Featherbin looking for a potential invade or gank into the top lane. Has he been spotted? Well, he must have been spotted now.
So, seen by a little spirit and a ward, but Kikis has no flash, so even if he sees them, he might not be able to do a whole lot. Then it's up to G2 to make a play on the other side of the map. Trick is down here on the bottom side, but they have to just try and rush down the bottom in case anything happens. But yeah, Corki build, very standard. Components for Phage are a lot stronger. Ruby Crystal and Longsword, compared to a Mana Crystal and Amplifying Tome for Corki, so better to get the Sheen for more early damage, and then components for Phage when you have that amount of gold. Good trading from Emperor, he's level 6.
That was really nice. Because they were forced below the tower, they had to take all the culling damage.
This is what we talked about, how if Fnatic are looking to make plays on top side against Kikis and punish him more, G2 has to respond on the other side. They're doing it. I like this play. You know you can push into Israel. You know you have a strong early game jungler. Speed up the game. You want to get these side lanes down and then start grouping mid.
Oh, nice Winter's Bite. Should be able to get the stun as well. And Emperor jumps in, but the exhaust comes out. Maybe enough to keep Noxiac alive. Trick will come in, pick up that kill. Bam! Now Lissandra comes out and picks up a kill in return. Emperor, Hybrid, and Trick pay for that one kill.
So G2 got the tower. That was really good. But then they started chasing up. They saw that one possible kill in Spirit.
Well, this is not a good situation for Spirit, and he'll just straight up get out traded by Perks. Fervin and Gamsu are closing in, but they already used their ultimate. The ice shot doesn't even land. Nice play by Perks.
Spirit been playing a little bit too much dynamic Q here. I mean, first he was in the jungle alone when his waves or his lanes weren't able to help, and now taking that very crazy trade. Anyway, this is a good move by G2, but now they gotta respect double TP. But they see that one proc on Noxic, they're like, okay, we can go, we can kill them, this is it. And then double TP happens behind them, and now you're basically done. Like, there's so little you can do when this happens. Take the tower, say thank you very much, we made a good play, step away.
A sign of things to come, maybe. This is also the Perks kill. I mean, there's not too much to it. He just out-trades Spirit.
I wonder if Spirit expected Perks to run near the wall, up the ramp, and then he would like hit him with end of the line into ulti. Yeah. And Perks just kind of stopped, and he's like, no. And then he kills him.
I mean, in an open environment like that, not in the jungle, it's so easy to maneuver around end of the line. You have to fight in the jungle. Those are two fights that he took, one in the river, one in the upper bottom river, and you're never going to land the extra damage from end of the line. You just simply walk away.
Yeah. Spirit definitely helping G2 when it comes to getting a lead in this early game. This is a second play down. It's always multiple steps for G2 and how they want to push out that early game. Take bot tower, move your 3-man group up on top side after, where you are stronger in terms of AD carries. You are stronger at the moment as a unit of 3. And I like the play again from them. Double TPs on cooldown. And now they just got to try and wave play this bot side. You can see Perks coming down on your minimap. So G2 playing really well on the map at the moment, and Fnatic are way too slow to react.
Perks also had the package, so there has to be respect in the bottom lane from Reckless and Noxiac. In the 2v2, theoretically they should win. Kikis is trying to get in lane. The flash forwards, and the package comes across and knocks them both into Reckless. Oh, they both go down. That was beautiful from Perks into Kikis' play.
Yeah, really, really well played by G2. Honestly, just a good move top. Fnatic responding so late. Even saw Perks move down a few times. They're like, maybe we could stay. Start running and realizing the package is there, and sloppy play by Fnatic and really getting punished by G2. 4,000 gold lead almost. This is exactly what they were looking for.
The fans are still behind Fnatic though, still have that fan base, but fan votes do not win you games. And currently Gamers 2 being ahead in this one, despite a very hard composition to run, are doing very well in the early game. And even though we saw the potential of Fnatic's composition to shut down the squishy members in the backline from G2 in the bottom lane that we saw when they TP behind them, if G2 were just so far ahead that they're just killing them, then they could actually take this.
Yeah, that's the problem with Fnatic, and how again they want to scale up, but the only wave play is Febivan and Spirit together. Spirit has been kind of caught out a few times, and then he's not been in position to clear the waves, where Trick has been running with his team. Every time Spirit was there grouping on a tower, Spirit should have been there as well, or Spirit should have mirrored the play with obviously his support and his AD carry, but that play on the bottom lane was just Reckless and Spirit alone. Noxiac wasn't even nearby. So where G2 managed to group up and push towers, Fnatic is kind of splitting up a little bit left and right and never managed to get the same amount of power in the move they're trying to make. It's 3 towers to 0, 13 minutes in.
Quite weird. We're starting to hit damage spikes though. Mid lane finally just picked up the Triforce with the Essence Tree from the bot lane. Very common for the Spellcaster AD carries, the Spell Weavers. Top lane, Kikis has gone for the Titanic Hydra. Very nice as a pickup since you can fill your build out, and then when you feel like you have enough tanky stats, you just swap over to the Hydra and you do more damage.
Obviously offers you a little more fast pushing potential. Now that Tiamat doesn't proc on, or well, the Hydra doesn't proc on everything.
This is not good for Spirit, and he's completely poked away as a jungler as Dragon is up.
Just realized I called both things for Hydra. The damage component doesn't now proc on everything. Titanic Hydra does proc on everything and help you push out.
I knew what you meant, so I had to think about it for a second.
I just always call it Hydra. Anyway, G2 once again are getting to do exactly what they want with their composition. You got Power Spike on Corki, Trinity Force Sorcerer's Boots. You're gonna get level 11 for him with his rank 2 ulti, and now you're just looking to group. You're honestly just looking to have Trick, play around perks, rotate Emperor in once he pushes out his lane down bot lane, move him into mid lane. Constant chip away and tower, chip away and tower. You need pink wards though, behind you and next to you. Because you gotta spot that TP flank. You can see the pink ward here, near the mid lane bush. On top side, there's the same pink ward if you look at your minimap on the bottom side. So G2 is obviously investing everything towards mid lane, and they're trying to block every way possible for Fnatic to TP flank. Because that's the only way Fnatic can punish G2 at the moment.
Yeah, but even if they get close to punishing them, the ultimates from both Lysandra and Malphite will one-shot the backline if they stack up. Yeah, we've already seen it once this game.
And that's what G2 cannot afford. Because now you have the lead, now you have the tempo, you have to push. Don't overextend and then lose everything.
So Emperor is apparently running 18-12-0, so not going with the mind game build that we were talking about earlier, but he is running mana regen on his glyphs. So still confusing to me. I just don't see it.
Oh, it has so little value.
The maths just doesn't add up.
Now he also builds Essence Reaver, so like he has plenty of mana, and that little extra amount from his runes are gonna do absolutely nothing.
Gives you an extra Q every 3 minutes.
Well, if you kill some of that Q,
yeah, the value.
then we see the value.
Yeah. Not this game, but at some point it will. Kikis heading down. He'll be finding Gamsu. Or Gamsu will be finding Kikis more likely. And he'll head into the middle lane. However, Featherman is split pushing the bottom lane. He will get this outer turret and has teleport.
G2 has to all in for this one, but the problem is that allows Featherman also to TP in. There's sadly not a great ward for him. Rest of Fnatic is here to defend. And that will be forced off.
It's good though, and Gamsu will have to block it, and into the line of the spear coming in from Trick will chunk him out of the fight as well. He's only gone for armor right now because he's been itemizing against Kickers, and now he's grouping. Nidalee is shrekking him.
And we talked about this, how Fnatic, in order to really play their comp and use double TP, it's Ezreal sitting mid. He doesn't have proper wave clear. Iceborne Gauntlet offers him a little bit of it, and yes, okay, if he has enough time, he can take it down, but they will always give G2 some hits on tower. Spirit has to always be there first, and when the minion wave is building up, he used to use end of the line on it to clear out as much as possible in order for this double TP to work at the moment where G2 are so strong. But we've just seen Fnatic fall further and further behind. Trade tower for tower, but they lost mid tower now, so G2 are looking to go for next step. Sadly, when you play these squishy comps, poke composition, siege comps, the further in you get towards the enemy base, actually the more annoying it gets to play your comp. Because there's so many more ways now Fnatic can put wards behind you and then TP flank you. Mid lane is just 2 wards in the side pushes and then you're kind of safe. Step in further, you know, you need to have like a ping near the Raptor, you need to have a ping up, you know, north of the Raptor, on the other side near the Wolf Camp, like you need to have like 4 pink wards around you. And not even that might save you if there's just a ward in the lane just behind you.
There's a stall out period for sure. We've seen it in Challenger as well when people have tried these siege compositions. And if you can get over that hump, you just win. However, that is the chance for the defending team to actually come back in with the aforementioned flanks you were talking about from Fnatic. So they're also taking the top side of the map. It just depends what G2 are going to take off of this. It looks like it's maybe bottom tower.
Yeah, Fnatic is doing the same again. They're just trying to trade towers, honestly. Instead of trying to set up for a big team fight here, they're more than happy just taking top tower but lose tier 2 bot tower. That's where I prefer to see a team say, okay, we now traded outer turrets with each other, we've gained some gold. Now we're looking for that team fight play. We just talked about how many wards you can place behind them, how difficult it is for G2 then to push in. And that really slows down the game for G2. But if you keep trading towers, you now only have mid tier 2 to back. And once that is gone, G2 should have full map control and can start setting up for potential barrel.
That could be a major problem for Fnatic. But they currently have vision around the area. I believe they took the crab as well. So at least for the foreseeable future, at least for Baron Spawn, they'll have that up. If they can maintain that, that's what they really need, because Yeah, a Baron here would essentially end the game. However, it's essentially impossible to play a Baron anymore because blue trinkets exist.
Yes,
so.
that is true. And once Fnatic falls behind, they do tend to swap over to more blue trinkets. Actually, was a mistake they made. What we saw, I believe it was last week, where they just stuck to the yellow trinkets and then realized they couldn't really do anything because they could never gain vision by moving in and putting them. So we see Reckless with blue trinket now. That's to spot the Baron.
Unlucky.
And Rift Herald.
I should take this one. Chick finding it very difficult to land those spears on a stationary target, but we'll get it down. Yeah, Fnatic did do that, but they were ahead in the game and then picked up the yellow trinkets, but then didn't swap them back. They're very good when you're ahead because you can place them in the enemy jungle with continual pressure, but depending on the ebb and flow of the game, you have to continue swapping them, depending on the game state. So.
Notice here how Fnatic is putting Gamsu with the team despite his teleport. Gamsu should be sitting bot lane now and meeting that wave against the Fiora. If Febiven is spotted here, technically G2 could start rushing up mid lane. Because they have TP as well and they're pushing in this bot side. And that forces Febiven to be slowed reacting. Look here, the move at least from Kikis now.
But here comes the package from Perks.
Interesting.
Yeah, gets the W out just in time from Febiven, so he'll jump away with Glacial Path.
Yeah, it's obviously difficult to use TP from like 2 lanes right next to each other. So G2 are basically playing around jungle vision. And now they start pushing up mid, as we talked about here before.
Ezreal will clear part of that wave.
Oh, you already hit that point where you're like, I want to push, but I also want to respect your engage.
But those spears landing will help significantly, chunking out Noxiac, the culling as well for more poke, and that may just be enough to start taking away the health of this turret. Here comes the TP and the hard engage from Fnatic. Is it enough though? Here comes the jump in and the ultimate from Gamsu, a 3-man ultimate. Can they get the follow-up though? Gamsu has been locked down but is still chasing after, now has to back away, and Perks is respawning damage onto Reckless. Jump forwards from Emperor, can he get the kill down? Lands the first one, Spirit will have to jump away there, still has his flash available, and Noxiac will back off. That was a 2-for-1 over to G2, and they get the turret.
And some of the same problems we saw from Fnatic last week against Unicorns of Love, where the engage synergy is just not there. It's like one guy going in, then the other guy's trying. Notice here, Febiven goes in, but the TP is still channeling here from Gamsu. Now he joins. Instead of there being a big wombo combo together to burst down a target and allow Reckless also to ult in and follow up with damage, it goes like one by one by one. G2 gets to disengage, re-engage, and pick up the kills. So G2 is still in a great position. Sadly for them, setting up Baron as a siege comp is equally as annoying as trying to push in further into the enemy base, because once you start that Baron, you don't have a tank, first of all, who can tank it. And once you're stuck in that Baron pit against Malphite, Lissandra, Trundle Pillar, I mean, you're dead. So like, you have to play it so safe for G2, but they've been doing so many things correct leading up until this point. Can they, the next 5-6 minutes, extend the lead, get the last auto turrets down, and then try and get a Baron? Then they can definitely close out the game very quickly.
That last team fight went so well for them because that's basically the perfect team fight you want with this composition, where you can disengage and re-engage, whereas Fnatic could not find the flank because they were being pressured so hard into their base. They didn't have time to set up that pre-ward, so they couldn't get the flank and they couldn't engage on gamers too, which was the big problem there. Pillar comes up, but there's no real follow-up from Spirit. The ultimate comes out for the chunk and the minion wave clear. Additionally, Featherman and Gamsu do not have their flash in the last fight, so there is a small period where gamers too have a little bit of help if they do decide to pressure Baron. It's still very hard, but there's no flash ultimate from Gamsu, flash ultimate from Featherman.
Yeah, interesting also to see how G2 played that last fight. Hybrid basically just sacrificed himself, or he wanted to. As soon as the engage happened, he just moved forward, put down his ulti to try and zone as much as possible and his shield, and basically said, you guys can CC my AD carries, but if you cannot move through the damage because of the zone I can offer as Braum, you won't kill them. Unless, again, the coordination is perfect for Fnatic and Gamsu and Febiven together hit that target. We might see QSS come in. Hexdrinker, I think, could be a good item here as well, because the burst damage from those engages is all magic from Malphite and from Lissandra.
I'd always like to see distortion boots on a couple members as well from G2. Like, the sooner you have gonna hold that for a second, as we may have that flank engage we're looking for from Fnatic. Gamsu is trying to jump in, looking for that opportunity. Emperor has been CC'd up by Featherman, but he's used his ultimate, now going into the Zhonya's. Grand Challenge comes out from Kickers, following on to Gamsu. They pick up the 2 big engage tools from Fnatic, and they just weren't in range to follow up.
Once again though, yeah, engage comes in from Fnatic, kind of one by one, Rest of Fnatic is too far back to really do anything. I didn't see who zoned them away, but Reckless is very low. Spirit is almost full HP as well, has ulti. Like your whole combo is built on Ezreal ulti, Graves ulti, on whatever target Gamsu and Febian locks down, and that burst should kill anyone. But G2 now picked up another win, they didn't even need the Baron.
Game is 2. This could be potentially greedy with the respawn timers. However, they're going in for the win. Pick up the first Nexus turret. They may have to back off now as Spirit comes out, but if they get the pick onto Noxiac, maybe they can take more. They'll just back away as Baron is still alive, and going back and spending all of that gold they just accrued is probably the best thing for them. And the biggest thing from that is they managed to take the top lane inhibitor and have broken that base.
G2 right now is just getting everything. Honestly, Fnatic were way too slow in the early game. It is one of the issues Malphite has, that he's no way of stopping you from pushing down his tower. So like when G2 were just grouping so quickly with Nidalee, with Lucian, with the Braum, Fnatic should just mirror the exact same thing, either as defense with Graves wave through, or down to take towers at the same pace. But it was always so slow and then got caught out, ended up dying for it. Spirit gives up like 3 early kills. Really strange first 15 minutes from Fnatic, and G2 has honestly been playing this comp extremely well. And that's why they're now so far ahead.
Yeah, we never said it was a bad comp, we just said it was a hard one to play.
Sure,
They've been playing it very well. The look of concern there from Daylor, and we were heading into this game saying, well, G2, they've done very well, but they've stomped out some weaker teams. How will they perform against Fnatic? They're doing extremely well against one of the top teams. This has really been a benchmark game for Gamers 2.
Now we're still back in the same situation, where G2 feel like they might need Baron to close out the game, but setting up that Baron is basically the comeback, potential comeback for Fnatic.
Yep.
And I guess G2 would have loved to get Inhibitor down on the bottom side of the map, so you had the super minions pushing there, instead of top side where it's too easy for Fnatic to clear them out and still be around the Baron. But you can still group up and start poking, and package is used.
Noxiac away from him, however, so it's not going to be perfect. And with the smoke screen thrown down.
Why is Gamsu not bot lane? He has TP.
I don't know. And the tower's just kind of going down to Kikis, and it will be dead before Gamsu arrives.
Okay, sure.
Okay, there's a free turret, and now Kikis will actually go into Gamsu, trying to get those vital procs off. Gamsu realizes it's too easy for him, will just have to back off to the mid lane. Maybe try and engage. Emperor's a little bit chunked, so is Perks. Perks is just in the base for some reason. He will just flash out of there. And now Noxiac has taken the chunk. Gamsu will have to back off, and Kikis is looking for the flank from the sidelines. Gamsu dropping low, he's out of mana, and now the team can get the damage onto him. He'll have to flash away, so will Febiven. Gamsu didn't burn flash, but Febiven did. Now Febiven will be going down. Spirit is trying to do everything he can, but he just really can't do that much. Actually, jumps in, picks up the kill alongside Reckless, but he had to put himself in a bad position to get that play off. Gamsu's come in from base, but what's he have? He has no ultimate, he has no carries left remaining apart from Spirit's damage.
And again, Fnatic are just so weirdly positioned on the map, just allowing G2 to constantly push in, poke again on mid tower, get a free bot lane tower. And honestly, G2 are just so far ahead, you know, they can just keep pushing in, and there's so little Fnatic can do.
Well, they're poking away, and Gamsu's trying to tank some damage up for his tower. Now he gets CC'd in place by the Winter's Bite, instant concussive blows. The tower goes down, and all Fnatic are being shoved away. And Gamers 2 just close in on the Nexus, should be able to pick this one up. And Gamers 2 take the game over Fnatic.
That was a super strange game to watch. I felt like G2 just got allowed to do everything they wanted, and there was almost no response from Fnatic except for one TP play in the bot lane, but G2 is overextending. Outside of that one play, G2 honestly just quickly rotated around the map, kept fast pushing in with Nidalee and an AD carry, just buff him up, give him the attack speed, have the double range, and Fnatic were just always so far behind on the play.
There was a lot of question marks for me on Fnatic's communication. So many times we saw the engage from Gamsu Febiven, no one be there, maybe people being zoned away, specifically in the mid lane when Febiven jumped in, popped ult, then Gamsu was just still teleporting into the fight. There was a lot of problems there for Fnatic.
Tons of problems for Fnatic, but G2, they take, we have to respect.
Oh yeah.
They take a composition that are so hard to execute, and if you make like one big mistake in the early game, or if you're too slow at moving around and pushing, like you basically lose the entire game. But they played that so well outside of that one, obviously, over-aggressive move in bot side, but that wasn't enough to lose the game for them because they just swapped top, took 2 towers basically for nothing. Fnatic didn't even get the bot lane tower. And then when we're talking about like how, oh, normally you need to get the Baron here, Kikis is just pushing bot lane alone and nobody's there. He just take tower and it's like, this was probably the worst game I've seen Fnatic play all year. Again, obviously we haven't seen that much. But even looking back at last year, I know it was a bit of a different lineup. There was like one game of Worlds where we felt like they played absolutely terrible. This game to me ranks up there. If you look at Fnatic for the last 2 years basically as one of the worst games I've seen them play.
Yeah, I mean, so much went right for G2, but also wrong for Fnatic. Like, for example, Spirit going in and just dying in the river, then going for a one-on-one against the mid laner. Yeah, it just didn't make any sense. It was also like individual misplays combined with team misplays, and it's something we really haven't seen from Fnatic. They step up and they play against the top teams, but you go up against G2 who have been taking names, and now they go up against Fnatic and take their name as well. It was, yeah, unexpected, but still, a win is a win for G2.
G2 for sure is one of the top teams in Europe.
Yeah.
We keep having some questions because, again, we want to see teams, you know, beat others than just the bottom of the table teams, but now G2 have been doing that. They took out Elements in basically day one, week one. They just destroyed Elements completely. Great game against Fnatic here. Had issues in pick and ban phase against H2K, but outside of that, G2 has been playing fantastic.
4-1, looking amazing. Anyway, we're going to toss to Pyrotechnics on stage for a word with G2's top laner.
Thank you very much, Pulse. I am joined by Kikis in the top lane, which if you were watching last year, that wouldn't have been the sentence we had been saying. Congrats on your win. Big victory over Fnatic. Now, Kikis, did that game go down exactly the way you expected? Because that was weird.
Well, it's hard to judge for me how the game exactly went because I was just bottom farming, speed pushing. I was just telling my team, okay, you go here, we're gonna take mid turret, we're gonna go top turret, we're gonna like take control of the jungle. I think the game was kind of clear and easy on our side, but I'm really mad for myself for dying 1v1 to Gamsu, so I need to work on that.
Well, it sometimes happens. You can ask Amazing about that as well. But I also want to ask you a little bit about your transition to the top lane. It's something that I think a lot of people didn't expect coming off the offseason, and now you're kind of getting into the swing of it. You've been playing a lot of tanks, but now you're switching into a carry role. What do you think is your preferred role out of all the ones that are available in League of Legends?
To be honest, I don't have preferred role. Like, I just love playing the game. I love playing all the champions. I just really like spending the time practicing. So doesn't matter where role I end up playing, I'm just gonna try my hardest. So if I'm a top lane, I'm just gonna practice top. I'm gonna try my hardest to be one of the best. And if, for example, in the future I'm gonna switch to other role, I'm gonna try my hardest there.
Excellent, excellent. And really, I mean, not that many people can do that. So congratulations again on that successful transition. Last question. Now that you guys have taken out Fnatic, you had a very rough game against H2K, but you've beaten everybody else, and you're sitting very high in the standings. What do you think the perception should be for a team like G2?
Well, I think we should be called one of the contenders right now, because I really believe in my team and our ability, because I think we are very good, and I would say we are top 4.
Top 4? Well, we'll have to see how it all shakes out. But for now, congratulations once again, and we're going to send it back to the analyst desk to break down that victory by G2 Esports.